Hello there, and welcome back to War Thunder. Today I want to play for your pleasure the BA-11, and this Soviet reward light tank can currently be obtained via the World War Mode Season 2. Now the question is, what is this tank, how good is it, and how much is it actually worth if you want to pick it up on the marketplace, or if you want to just invest now the golden eagles to get it, or if you want to know if it is worth investing your time into spending it on World War Mode. I have to say that the USS Phelps is a really nice destroyer. It has currently a longer than anticipated reload, but on the other hand, otherwise it's really cool. The next thing is the BA-11 that you get previously, or with much less World War Mode stars. So first of all, it is a light tank, battle rating 1.3. It actually has a Silverline modifier of only 0.2 times 2.0 and an RP modifier of 0.75. That is bad. So this might be in good hands and a good iconic seal clubber, but it is not really generating you all that many silver lines, as we'll see later on. I picked this battle in particular because it was a more common result and not an Uber Seal Club game that I had, which you could see the results all over YouTube, War Thunder Live, and also Twitter, where you can follow me. If you haven't noticed yet, you might find the links in the video description down below. So, the BA-11. Let's begin with the armor, because actually there is a little bit on this armored car, and it is from the front nicely sloped and angled, but on the other hand, you know, the cooling grill is only 8mm and it's mostly flat. Other than this, we have 10 and 13mm of rolled homogeneous armor, very deeply angled, and this can actually ricochet shots. The turret might be very familiar from the T-26, but the armor is only 13mm of cast homogeneous armor. Side armor the same, but on the rear mounted tank below this, on the barbette if you will, there is also 2 layers of 15mm tracks with overlay generating roughly 40mm of equivalent armor. But the tank is rather long and it has a huge profile, especially from the side. So while this might create some bounces here and there, you never should rely on this. There is some armor, but you should never really rely on this. You never should get hit in a light tank in the first place. Then from the top, the armor is 6 and 5 and 8mm respectively, even up to 13mm on the front of the vehicle versus air attacks. So yeah, not the greatest armor, but certainly nothing extremely bad. Then let's talk about the interior. The engine is at the front, and then the side of the vehicle is just all covered in ammunition, as is the side of the turret. And we have 4 crew members, 2 in the front and 2 in the back of the turret. So much for that. Then obviously it is designated as a light tank. That implies good speed, and indeed the vehicle is, on the road at least, not bad. We have a 90 horsepower engine for an 8.1 ton tank. That is roughly 11 horsepower per ton, and propelling the tank to a top speed of 54 kilometers per hour. Off-road it is more like 13, and on roads it feels a little bit restricted. The reverse speed is only minus 6 kilometers per hour, which could be better, to be honest. Again, it is a wheel tank, so you cannot really turn on the spot. You have to really imply here a turning circle that is actually quite considerably, as usual for wheel tanks in War Thunder, and it just takes a while to change the direction, so it's not as quick as with tanks, even in realistic. Then let's talk about the firepower, and the firepower is really funny. So we have a single machine gun and then a 45mm 20K cannon that you can find on the T20, but also on the BT7. With the same battle rating, that is. And so yeah, it's pretty cool. You fire a shot every 3 seconds with an A screw. You have a gun elevation of 25 degrees, gun depression of 8 degrees, although I expect the gun depression being slightly limited over the front of the vehicle, where it's more like 6-7 degrees. I think you get a bit more over the side of the tank and to the rear. The next thing is the turret traverse, and this is fully aced with the best crew you can get, 16 degrees per second. This is a bit problematic. It's not terribly bad by no stretch of the imagination, especially for this battle rating, but when you run rings around an enemy, you want to get the gun on target before he can swing his gun around. And so if then you're not really prepared, the tank can be a bit surprising in a bad way and you might die to that feature. So you have to train a little bit with it. So a good crew definitely helps. The next thing is then the ammunition, and well, first of all, it has to be said that the gun sometimes has a bit of a unique spread pattern. It is a bit unprecise. At a distance of a kilometer, the shells can noticeably deviate, especially or despite a good crew. Then we have two shell types. I want to begin with the BR-240 SP, which is a normal solid shot armor piercing round, 757 meters per second and 73 millimeters of penetration and 28 millimeters at 60 degrees angles of attack, according to the stat card. And then there is the one shell that I would use all the time, the BR-240 APHEBC round. Now those APHEBC rounds usually have better performance, especially versus sloped armor. But this one, I'm not quite sure what it is. It might be that it is the caliber too low. Maybe I was really unlucky. But to be honest, I was let down quite often by the shell. It's not a terrible shell, it's still decent. It still has 30 grams of TNT equivalent high explosive filler, which is very effective if you just penetrate the crew compartment dead head on. But you know, the shell, due to 760 meters per second muzzle velocity, creates just a few millimeters less of penetration, 70 millimeters at 0 degrees angles of attack and still 25 at 60 degrees angles of attack. So according to the stat card, the BR-240 SP delivers a little bit better penetration, but again, you know, then there are hidden statistics, overmatch mechanics, and just the shell type. Soviet APHEBC rounds should normally deal better with sloped armor, those blunt nose shells, but it didn't really do in this experience, so there is that. So how would you use this tank? Well, I think that it is a decent flanker, and for low battle ratings you can use it for sniping, and you can train to get used to armored cars in general before you go to higher battle rating armored cars. Even though the R3 might be stupidly overpowered, I don't think that it teaches you armored car behavior like this tank does, simply because the R3 has a stabilizer and the 20mm is just absolutely wild and it's stupidly fast. This is a bit of a more common experience, and that now leads me come to the value of the tank. If you want to pick it up on the marketplace, if you want to sell it, what can you expect from this? First of all, let's talk about its status as a premium. First of all, the modifiers are terrible, as we'll see later on. Again, 0.75 for the RP modifier and 0.2 times 2.0 for the Silverline modifier. Even though you might be one of the best players that is out there, you're not really generating noticeable amounts of silver lines, and you really rely on epic awards, and you never can really rely on planning with them as your income. So they are just simply way better premiums. Then it cannot scout because it's tier 1 and not tier 2. So that removes a lot of the value from it, in my opinion. I think that for a collector and for fans of this type of armored cars, this is something that you must have in your garage. This is definitely a collector's item. Performance wise, not so much in my opinion. For me personally, if I wouldn't really participate in World War mode, if I just wouldn't really have the time to log in on War Thunder and spend, what, 3,000 golden eagles on it, then I would give it a maximum value. A maximum value, if I really want to get it, of $5. It's just not really worth more, as we'll see in just a moment. It's iconic, it's cool, I would definitely pick it up if you have the chance. I would not sell it. This is definitely a keeper for me personally, but this is not a real performer. Let's have a quick look at the post-battle results. And there we can see that for 7 kills, 3 assists and 1 zone that we captured, we got 31,000 civilians and 5,552 modification research points, heavy metal hero and survivor award, and together they make half of the overall civilian income. This is something that you have to keep in mind. First in team with over 3,000 score points. And that's already it for me today. So thanks for watching, thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a like with it, subscribe if you want to see more, and we'll see each other on the waves, in the skies, and on the battlefields of War Thunder.